Hello there. We continue to hope for bringing more and more shalom into our Shabbat as we continue the ongoing pain in regards to so many of our brothers and sisters who are still captive in Gaza as we continue into a whole new book of the Torah. And for us on the secular, in the secular sense, we also start a brand new year, and so hope that 2024 has started off sweetly and happily for you and for all of us. As I mentioned, we enter the second book of the Torah, the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus, and it is a massive first Torah portion. As we remember, the name of the first Torah portion is the same name as the new book. So new book is called Exodus or Shemot. And so the Torah portion this week is called Shemot, since it's the first Torah portion in the book. And so Shemot means names, and it refers to the names of the Israelites who we find out at the end of Genesis, who move into the beginning of Exodus, who traveled and we're all actually living in Egypt. And then we find out, of course, as we begin this Torah portion, the very terrifying phrase that there is a new king who rose over Egypt who did not know Joseph, who didn't know the whole story of the last weeks of our Torah and didn't have the connection with Joseph. And we go into this massive Torah portion, actually, if it's the beginning of the story of Exodus. And it's the story we know very well because it connects to Pesach, the Passover, and so much happens in this week's Torah portion. It seems like it tells almost half the story, preparing us for the Passover story. Almost all of it occurs in this week's Torah portion, massive Torah portion. It talks about the Nile and Moses being in the Nile and all these different components. All the way, by the way, it takes us to Moses being an adult in this artistic imagery behind me. So it starts out just with the semblance and the idea of the Israelites being in Egypt, the whole slavery story, like I said, the Nile story, and Moses and growing up, and the moments with the taskmaster. All of this flows into all one Torah portion, this massive Torah portion that gets us to this moment right here, which is this moment where Moses is standing in front of the burning bush. And if we know the text very well, it talks about the fact that the burning bush was burning and burning and burning and wasn't consumed, which is why Moses was so intrigued by it, because if there was a tree on fire and it got consumed, it would be normal. But because it wasn't consumed, that's what drew Moses's attention. The bigger question is, because there's all these commentaries, is that, believe it or not, it's thought that the burning bush had been burning for hundreds of years, and that people and shepherds like Moses had been in that region and no one noticed that it wasn't being consumed. So many people walked by it, no one noticed except for Moses. And so some of the commentary says Moses gets to be chosen as the greatest leader of the Jewish people because he's the one who noticed for the first time that, oh my gosh, this little bush, this little tree is not being consumed. And so it's possible that that's why he gets chosen. And so why do I bring this up? It's because he turns away. He takes a second, he takes a pause and turns away and notices that the bush is not consumed. And so I would like for all of us, we had Rosh Hashanah to reflect on this. And now, as this is our first Torah portion in 2024, do we stop and look around enough? Do we stop and notice what's going on? Are we the ones actually who might have walked by the burning bush? Are we in those masses who walked by and never noticed? Or are we in the Moses camp where we really think to ourselves, you know what? I am going to take a second and look around. I am going to notice what's around me. I am going to take a larger look at the space around me, and not just focus and be laser focused on what I'm doing. Because who knows, if Moses had not noticed the burning bush, if we would have had the perpetuation of the entire story that we know. And so on this Shabbat, I invite us to be aware, to notice the burning bushes around us, the special moments, special people, special situations. Are we in tune clearly with the unbelievably and painful situation in Israel that we keep enduring? Are we aware of it, or have we turned ourselves off and we've become part of the masses? Or are we the ones who are focused? Are we doing that, like I said, in our lives, in our moments, in our New Year's resolutions of our secular year? And so on this Shabbat, I hope we have some happy, hyper focus on all these important things in our lives, and that we are like Moses, who notices the bush, and not the hundreds of people or thousands of people that walk by and didn't notice. Our Shabbat service tonight, 6:30 as usual. Tomorrow morning, 8:30 in the morning, is our service and Torah discussion. And I look forward to seeing all of you soon. And I look forward to continue as a community to bring shalom into our Shabbat.